Shora Bashemte. I'm Calvin Traveler. Welcome back to another episode of Blender for Korman for Beginners. This morning, and I apologize if I sound a little croaky, there's a rather pressure change coming in. My sinuses are all cloggy, but this morning I woke up with an idea, mostly a bit of a song. You've got to go find those bones. So here is a Sanskrit. It is from Peafrin. It is a creature that, as much as I want to be bringing it into the pod area, there are several logistical challenges with actually doing that. Anyway, this is in one of my imports of Peafrin. So I'm going to go to Blender. I'm going to go to my info tab, file, append, and we're going to see if this works. I'm going to go to pod, we want Peafrin import raw, we want objects, we want to find our Sanskrit. Sanskrit mesh body 01. Well, that was almost what I wanted. You have the right object here, right? Sanskrit mesh 01. Well, that didn't quite work the way I wanted it to. It did seem to add the texture files, though, but that's not what I want. Yep. Okay, we're gonna have to try something a little different then. So playing around with the importer a bit, and I discovered my issue was the origin point for my Sanskrit was nowhere near nowhere near its origin point. So in order for me to, import my little model here into the age proper, I have to basically move the origin point for my little Sanskrit to be basically in line with it. Now I'm gonna delete the armature because I do not need the armature. But now that I've got my Sanskrit, fixed up, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go info, file, save as. There. Sanskrit mesh blend. Now I have a specific Sanskrit model that is, the Sanskrit. And now, I'm betting I'm having the same issue with object edit mode. Control A. Yep. I'm betting this little blue dot here is its origin point. That's why my model is not appearing where I want it to be when I'm importing it. In fact, I'll bet you if it completely moved the actual model in the world, but okay. And I'm gonna go to here, object, edit mode, Yep. Watch as I move these, and then, I bet you I know exactly what's going on here. And now, yep, and I'll bet you, yep, that is exactly what happened. My center points for all my objects are nowhere near where they need to actually be in reality. How fun is that? And now, would you look at that? I have a Sanskrit in my age. This is, well, I'm only really bringing this in just for the sense of scale. And also, to make sure that I made my cliff wide enough here. Oh yeah, I made that wide enough and big enough. Now, the whole reason I went to all this trouble to import this Sanskrit is so I can try to build a fake skeleton for it. I know that's kind of a wacky idea. Yes, I know it's wacky. I know it is. I know. But that is what we're going to try to do. And it is a lot handier to have the actual creature in the age than it is to try and build it in another thing and import it and da. At least this way, if I ever in the future decide to actually animate the Sanskrit, I'm at least a step close to having the animal in the age, you know? Yeah. But before I get to doing that, I am going to import over all of the pod objects that I need to import over, because now that I know what's going wrong with the origin points, I can actually get some progress in getting all of my objects into the age and making sure that they work. Yeah, let's go back up. I want Pamphrin. Yeah, there we go. Arc 01. Let's see here. Yep, there's our object. And it was hidden beneath the terrain the entire time. And look at where that origin point is. Yep, all over the place. File, append, arc 02. Oops. Did I get the right one? Yes, I did. Okie day. I'm actually gonna not quite move everything out of the way first. No. I am distracted this morning, and I'm not feeling quite so well in my throat. Did I? Yep, I did. Okay, file, append, arc 02. Now we have the two pieces here. Okay. I'm just going to go through and I'm going to append all my pod objects into the age. And they're all going to be in wildly various places because they're not exactly where they're supposed to be. Yep. But we will persevere. This is main platform base 01. Okay. So, Cyan actually did the work for me. There's a pod exterior and a pod interior. You see, they have two pod pieces. And so now that I've appended basically all of my pod bits on here, you'll see that there is an exterior to the pod and an interior to the pod. And now comes the fun bit of me clicking and dragging selecting all of these pod pieces and rotating them into the position of the hole that I've now left where things were. Because this pod is now no longer centered where I wanted it to be. See, Cyan is really weird with some of the way that they did things. Paephrin and Dorino are the only pods that have an exterior model. The other pods don't do that. Tetsunot and Eglon, they don't have an exterior model. You can just see clear into the pod. Cyan did something weird, but in this case, it's benefited me greatly because there's an exterior to the pod and an interior to the pod. And as you can see, I've deleted the original pod model because I don't need that right now. And I'm gonna get this all situated, and then we will first and foremost, I'm gonna select it all, and then I'm gonna show you how I situate it. Well, that was a bit annoying. You see, I went to all the trouble to record my moving things and putting things in here, and I made a whole reenactment of the pod falling off the cliff, and I made the story of it. Oh, but that is glorious. It's not solid. If I walk in here right now, it's not got equipped for collision, but we have the inside of a pod, and it's all twisted around on its side now. This is glorious. Oh, just absolutely. This is a world turned on its side here, folks. This is a literal pod that is on its side that is This is beautiful. Oh, this is just so beautiful. Ah, look at the floor. It's on the wall. This is amazing. This is absolutely fantastic. This is the most like I knew this was gonna look weird in my head, but like to have it actually twisted around like this, it's oh my god, this is beautiful. This is so beautiful. This is the most bizarre thing in the history of bizarre things. It is a sideways pod. Look at this. Just look at it. It's sideways. This is not how this is supposed to be. And it is sideways, and it is gloriously sideways. So yeah, anyway, to briefly reenact the story that I was going to say, because I'm not moving the model now that it's down there and in position. Basically, the pod was like way up here on the cliff, and you'd look out the middle window and you'd be seeing this oasis, and you look out the other windows and you see stuff I'm not even going to bother modeling, like the volcanic terrain and hills and mountains and stuff. And then one day there was a big old quake, and it just came tumbling down the side of the cliff here, and it is now in the precarious position you see right here. And then at some point past me came along and cleaned it up and tried making a home in here, and then left it abandoned for several years, and then that got ruined to the point that the journal that I'd left here got destroyed too, so we don't even have recollections of that anymore. That is an icy explanation for the reason why I cannot OOC find my actual journal that I wrote for all of this originally. Even though I didn't actually build any of it, I still wrote a journal, so. But now we've got... See, the original idea I had was this sideways window would have like a little bridge going to these rock cliffs over here, and you'd be able to climb up, try and get an approximation of the view that you would have had originally. But, yeah, that's, not quite the case now. Still, progress is progress, and this looks amazing. Look at it. It's all sideways. I love it. This is exactly what I was hoping for. We got the little shadows all over the place. This is... Oh, this is great. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so the real plan for today, that before I got all sidetracked, was I'm going to build a skeleton model for this guy. But before I do that, look how big he is. This is my Avi. He's small and he's smaller than the feet. You know, like, I was worried this pathway was going to be too narrow. I didn't know how big this guy was, but whoo-wee, he is a big one. Ooh. Inside of the mouth, but this is kind of how he sees the world. This is how he sees the world. He's got a big old view from out this side. He got a big old view from out this side. And now we're going to try and build a skeleton for this guy. And I don't mean a blender skeleton, because this guy came with an armature skeleton already. We're going to try and build a legitimate model of a skeleton for one of these guys. Why? Well, I've got some ideas about decorating this little pool here and having a big old hole in the roof that one of these poor guys fell into. Sudden earthquake and sinkholes and all of that, and yeah. Okay, to start with, we're gonna start with the skull. The skull seems like the easiest thing to model here. Well, rather, I suppose the legs might actually be the easiest thing to start with, but actually, yeah, let's start with the legs. The legs are going to be the easiest. Yeah, now I'm thinking about it. Create a cylinder. We now have a cylinder. I'm going to name this cylinder Bone Thigh, because why the heck not? View, object, edit mode. I'm going to select that top face, and I'm going to drag it up. Yeah, object mode. Let's base this off of the straight one here, because now the beauty about 3D modeling is that you really only have to design something once to make it work. Oh, let's go RY. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so as you can see here, there is a significant bend to the leg. I'm gonna go object, edit. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna see, there's my issue. I need to lower you down. Tools, Extrude Region. And now I can get that slightly bent out. I'm going to scale, S for scale, and I'm going to shrink this down a bit. In fact, I'm going to shrink it down up here too. It kind of gets a little bigger in the middle. Now, I'm assuming this is probably actually going to be like a normal chicken leg where you have the pair of bones next to each other. Yeah, in fact, that's probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to go object, edit. Yeah, shrink that inwards a bit. Shrink that inwards a bit. Okay. Yeah, now we've got something a little more approximate to a bone there. What I probably should have is an actual reference photo of a chicken skeleton here. But I am not so, I'm not going to bother with that right now. What I'm going to do is duplicate this. Actually, no. object edit mode. And I'm gonna tools, duplicate it. And I'm gonna smooth the vertices out a bit. I'm gonna stretch it and squish it a bit more. Make it look like a slightly different leg here. Twist it a bit. Yeah. This is gonna be kind of more referencing what I remember chicken wings to look like a bit than a chicken thigh, to be honest. And do these need to actually be properly, you know, textured and all that? Probably not. In fact, I'm not even going to bother actually doing the full skeleton here. I'm just going to do a couple bones and then make them a bit, yeah, let's create a UV sphere. Yeah, let's bring you in here. Let's shrink it down a bit, because bones are not gonna have flat edges to them unless they're broken. And I'm gonna go tools and duplicate. I'm gonna now logistically, this should be a kneecap. One of these should be a kneecap at any rate. At least a backwards kneecap. But I'm not going to worry too much about that. Because, for starters, this is an alien animal on an alien world. And I'm going to duplicate that and put it down at the bottom. And again, this is supposed to be a skeleton that's not held together properly. So, you know, won't actually matter too much if it's, you know, this is mainly just gonna be to give folks the sense of feeling that they are seeing the skeleton of a thing. I'm gonna go into our orbs here. I'm gonna select the faces on the edges here because we do not need those faces. And I can probably go in and I can clear out those bits that are on the other ends of the bone tubes from the orbs. But you know, I probably should have lined that up better. And these aren't going to be like, you know, these aren't going to be everywhere. We'll do what we have to do some stuff. But we have some leg pieces here now. Object mode. Yeah. We've got some bones, people. We have some bones. And of course, this is all one model now. So, if I wish to have a second copy of it, I can make a second copy of it. Does it actually fit inside of our model here? Not especially. But it's workable. It is very workable. Now, I've just used the knife tool here to cut into this front-facing section of this mid-thigh bone here. What am I gonna do that for? Is because I'm gonna pull out of here. I'm gonna have this next bone be double ball jointed. This is gonna be, you know, one of those bones that has a little recess on this end, a little cup socket, so it can fit a bone that'll rest against it. you know, cartilage and stuff like that. Now, how to handle what's going on down here? Gonna need like a double ball. Yeah, double ball. I guess that would work. Okay. Double ball cup, maybe. Yeah, that might work. Okay. We're gonna go create UV sphere. Yeah, here we go. Once again, I'm gonna delete the end face there. So I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna select this. I'm gonna pull it up a bit. Go in and I'm gonna hit that center point again, and I'm gonna pull it up a bit more. Sometimes Control does not like to do the things that I want it to do, but that is a price we have to pay sometimes. Okay. I probably should have made sure that scaled up better before I went and moved it, because now I gotta select all of these faces by hand. Why did I not finish scaling it and putting it in position before I did? I'm realizing I probably need to taper out the end on this bone a bit because it is not lining up quite right. But that's alright. Before I go ahead and do that, though, I'm going to make sure that I have my double-balled thigh here. My chicken thigh. Yeah, this is kind of weird for an alien bird, but, you know. Like I said, it's an alien bird. It doesn't have to make sense. That'll work. Make sure you're grabbing all the right vertexes here. Shrink. Extend. Shrink that down a bit more. Yeah. There we go. Now we've got two different bones. We've got a mid-thigh. We've got a lower thigh. I'm gonna set these to smooth shading, because why not? Yeah, they look a little weird, but they're bones. And they're plain white at the moment, so they're not exactly, you know, exactly like what we want them to be. Okay. So, yeah, you'll notice that I'm only doing one side of this. It's like, and these are all fairly specialized directional pieces. The little Sanskrit here does not have wings. I guess he's like a Gwar or a Kagudi from the Elder Scrolls. Or an Aelith. Little armless, big-mouthed, bipedal things. Graboids from Tremors, anyone? Anyone? No? Okay. Anyway, so next bone, let's go create UV sphere, and let's going to start with the spheres this time because those are going to be the easiest too. But yeah, so there is a tool that I'm going to be using eventually. So let me scale that down a bit more. Yeah. There's a tool that I will be be using to make sure that we have mirrored sets of bones. Yep. And actually, to make my life easier, RY, let's twist this so that this section, this section is the one we're going to be starting with. So let's how far out do I want to extend? How thick do I want to make this, I think? Well, that's the question. I think I'm going to go with... Come on. Come on. Come on. I'm holding down the control. Let me select. Yep. This is the problem with the smart pathing, is it takes the shortest possible route and not the most logical route. No. How are we going to do this? Well, it's our old friend, Extrude Region. Let's scale it out a bit. Yeah, that's looking a little unrealistic there. But that doesn't matter just yet. We will get to it. We will fix it. Extrude Region. Let's thicken that out a bit more. Let's bring that in alignment. Yep. This is our upper thigh. Oh, I need to rename this. Bone upper thigh. Yep. There we go. Now I can start kind of curving this inward. Extrude region. Curve it inwards. Now we're nearing the back of the thigh here. I'm going to extrude the region again. I'm going to start tapering it off. Extrude region, and yep, taper it a bit more. I can probably end this here, but I'm going to twist it a bit. Extrude, shrink it down a bit more. Pull it in. Twist a bit. There we go. Now we've got a upper thigh. Now we need to do at least one more thing, and that's going to be adding a hip joint. So we're going to go create, do another UV sphere. Yep. Bring this up. Let's scale it a bit to give it a bit more believable mass. Yep. And then our X, turn it on its side. And then we're just going to pull a repeat of the stunt we legitimately just pulled. And we're going to get a bit that. It's just going to select, we're just going to select this wheel. Oh, and look how nicely that played for us this time. Extrude region, let's taper that a bit. Extrude region, taper it a bit. It's gonna twist it back slightly. Extrude region. Pull it in. Yeah. And then, because we don't need these faces anymore, delete faces. Actually, we don't really need any of these faces either. Yay. I'm going to go and grab these and just grab these. Shrink them down a bit. And now we've got a hip joint. Okay. Now, before I forget, I do remember that these down here are not looking so hot. So let's fix this joint here. Then we're gonna go scale. We're gonna drag it out. And we're going to pull it out like that. Nope, down. Pull it out like that. Then up. Scale it out a bit. Yeah. That looks better. Let's pull our Sanskrit aside here. And let's pull our bones over. Yeah. We have a skeleton now. Look at that. It's a skeleton. It's a leg. We have a leg, but we have leg bones. How nifty is that? Now comes the fun part. Texturing it. Bone textures. Cyan has the age callow. Callow is a big, giant age where, you know, it's an age that has not been released officially. We have it in intangibles, but there's a bit of work to make it work. That's a whole other story. But basically, callow is the age where Cyan developed basically every bone texture you see in the game. You have a bone texture in the cleft, that came from callow. You have a bone texture in Edergira, that came from callow. You have a bone texture in Teledan, that came from callow. We're going to hold the tradition and use callow's textures, basically. And I have not previously exported these, but they're a bunch of bone textures that, you know, Cyan has given us in the texture dump, and I'm just going to be going through and converting them into PNGs because I cannot directly recognize because I just like to see the textures that I'm using when I'm doing it. I could just straight up use the TGAs, but anyways, it's a process and you don't need to see it all. All you need to know is I'm basically just dragging a texture in. I'm going File, Export, and once I've changed it to PNG in the export instead of TGA, it's just going to export them as PNGs. Now, one of the other textures I already have converted is this texture, Borrow Bone. And I'll also be making use of this. It is not exactly, you know, I'm not going to be using it in the original context of the bone spikes in the Borrow Caves, but it is a bone texture, and I will be using it because bones. We've got to go make some bones. I'm going to use that as my default texture while I'm doing this enough pass because I'm realizing we are nearing an hour in time, and I do not want to go over an hour in this. So we're going to say Borrow Bone for this particular texture because that is the texture that we will be using for this first pass. And PNGs, Borrow Bone. And we're going to go object. Now, bones are going to be tricky. Bones are very, very tricky. Assign you. Reset. As you can see, just doing it, artificially isn't going to work. Edit mode, let's try cylinder projection. How is that looking? Seeing some interesting issues here. How about a sphere projection? Nope. Cube projection? Oh, definitely not. Smart UV unwrap. All right. Let's give us... Let's give us a smart attempt. Nope. Smart attempt did not work either. Project from view? Fascinating. And you know what? I'm willing to work with that. Though I don't like the angle, so I'm going to go Object, Edit Mode, Project from View. Oh, now that looks much better. And especially because we've got a dark section of bone here where that's going to be very, very, very nice for looking in the ground. Yep, I'll go Object, Edit Mode. I'm going to go Add Borrow Bone. We're going to go New, Project. I'm going to go New, Project from View. So let's turn it around this way. Project, Edit Mode, Project from View. Not sure. Project, Edit Mode, Project from View, Bounce. See how that looks. Interesting, but also still not quite what I want. I'm just going to go with the regular project from view here. Actually, I'm going to go at a slight angle. Ooh. Nope. Project from view. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. Now, go back to this set of bones. We're going to go material again. Hit the plus button to add a new material. We're going to hit this section next to the new, and we're going to select borrow bone. Because, of course, we are. Object, edit mode. And we're going to go... Actually, we're going to do it like this, I think. How did that... Ooh, I like how that looks. And now we have 3 bones. We have three big bones. And before we do anything else, I'm going to make sure that these are part of a new bit. And I'm going to make this a new page. I'm going to call this page Bone Town. And no. Dig bones. Yeah, dig bones. Because I've got that stupid song in my head that I made up. Dig bones. Active. Dig bones. Active. So, now that we've got these 3 bones here, let's get our Sanskrit out of the way. How are we going to make our bones? I'm going to name this upper thigh. I'm going to add in a tag here. R. Go and add in a tag here. R. R is for right. R, the right side of the creature. Lower thigh. R. Now, I'm going to... Tools. Yep, tools. And I'm going to duplicate these. And I'm going to rename these. Nope. I'm going to rename these one at a time. Thigh L, mid thigh L, and lower thigh. Now, you'll notice that these are basically right side. These still right legs. So I'm going to go in Object, Edit Mode, and I am going to... Where is... Okay, I figured it out. See, I was looking for a tool in edit mode when I want it to be in object mode. So I'm gonna select these two objects, mirror, and then now that they're highlighted white, I want to hit Y for the Y axis. And now they've been flipped. And now we have two opposing legs. Let's export this and see how it looks in game, shall we? Okay, we're recording this time. For the third try in a row. Whoosh! Here are our bones, finally finished. And in game. It is near the end of our time, and this is about where I'm gonna end it. The only other thing for this skeleton I'm gonna be modeling is the skull, because I don't want to deal with figuring out the rib cage and all of that and everything else. But yeah, these are our legs. We have a leg. We have legs. We've got legs. We've got legs. We've got legs. 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 Legs for days. Chicken legs. Big old chicken legs. Yeah, these are gonna go in the water somewhere, and yeah, once we're done with that, yeah, I can go hide a little Sanskrit here somewhere else. Sorry, bud, you're not gonna be able to stay for the whole journey. Well, you can stay until the final export, I suppose, just because you're such a cutie. Okay, but yeah, that's enough. Once more, I will write Shora B'Shemte, and thank you for watching.